Hey Dr. T, hey everybody. This is my Inquiring Minds video, and the question that was posed to me was, why is it that President Obama's birth certificate was and still is such a big issue? Um, Throughout my research, I found that there's two major issues with President Obama's birth certificate. First, under Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, if President Obama was not naturally born citizen, or if he lost his U.S. citizenship at any point throughout his life, he would be ineligible for the presidency, either to run for or be elected president. Another major issue that was a big issue back while he was running was that he could not produce his birth certificate for a long period of time. He actually wasn't able to produce his birth certificate to the government until about halfway through his campaign in 2008. So these two major issues are what made the news and what made President Obama's birth certificate become such a major issue back when he was running for president. Many of what are today called conspiracy theorists have theorized that President Obama was not born in Honolulu, Hawaii, as he says, but was actually born in Kenya, where his father is originally from. His father was in the military and moved around quite often, and they state that he was in Kenya just before President Obama was born, and people actually believe that he was born in Kenya and then moved to Honolulu, Hawaii. Other theorists have said that early in President Obama's life, he actually became a citizen of Indonesia, and therefore, if you become a citizen of another country, you lose your U.S. citizenship, and again would exclude him from the presidency. And other theorists have still said that President Obama was born into a dual citizenship, both British and American, which once again, if you're not 100% American citizenship, you would be excluded from the presidency again. In recent years, all of these have been called just theories because no one was able to put any concrete evidence behind these. And President Obama was indeed able to provide a birth certificate from his hospital at Honolulu, Hawaii, that was confirmed by the Hawaii Board of Health along with the doctor who signed the birth certificate, and that was good enough for the government, and they allowed him to indeed run and win the presidency. However, most of these theorists still believe that President Obama's birth certificate was a forgery and he was indeed not an American-born citizen. The fact that he was unable to produce his birth certificate for such a long period of time just gave flame to their fire, and believed that he had this time to not only create a forgery that could fool the government, but also had time to get everything in a row and have a doctor ready to say that he did indeed sign the certificate, as well as the Hawaii Board of Health being able to get their seal put on that. Some people have said that this is a bit of a racist reaction, and because he's the first African American president, that people just did not want him to be the president and therefore made up this wild conspiracy. And other people have said that he indeed was not an American citizen, and they've actually gone and tried to get court rulings on this, saying that, you know, if they were able to get access to Kenyan birth certificates and that stuff, they would be able to find proof that he was indeed born in another country. However, the government has denied most of these claims and has indeed accepted his birth certificate as fact, and therefore allowed him to retain his presidency. Much of the opposition for President Obama's birth certificate actually came from the Republican Party, and many politicians in that party who openly opposed President Obama stated that they believed that his birth certificate was indeed a forgery, and that they did not believe that he was indeed at all eligible to run for president. Back when he was running for president, it also was a big deal because there was talks that Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to run for president of the United States, but of course he was unable to run because he was born in Austria. Besides these facts, there isn't much to say about President Obama's birth certificate. It has been accepted as fact. Nobody is disputing that fact. They're just saying that they believe it's a forgery. But I do have a copy of the birth certificate here, which I downloaded off the internet. I know it's difficult to see. I will upload a copy of it as well. But it has been accepted that this is indeed a real birth certificate and that his presidency is legitimate. However, some polls that I found were back when President Obama was running and was elected president. A poll conducted in 2010 suggested that there were at least 1/4 of Americans that doubted that Obama was of U.S. birth. And a May 2011 poll found that there are still 13% of Americans, 23% of which who are Republicans, continue to express such doubts and say that President Obama is not a born citizen of the United States. Whether he is or not, no one can say for certain. All we can say is that we have facts in front of us saying that he is indeed American born. And for now, that is the best that we can accept. He is the President of the United States, and thank you for your time watching my video.